What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the charts so far and some very important things to consider, and what you should be watching for as we continue today and also going into tomorrow. But before breaking things up with all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just 8 hours, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the overall market. So Tesla's looking very, very weak right now. Tesla's continuing to sell off, and Tesla looks like it has more downside coming just looking at the charts so far. Now, I know this is not the video you guys want to hear. I know it's not what you want to see right now, especially if you're holding all these Tesla shares like me. But the truth is, right, I see this as another buying opportunity because I'm very optimistic for the future of this company. And I just want to let you guys know that opportunities are coming. Now, when it comes to the chart, I believe there's more downside coming as the market is continuing to bleed. The market made an attempt to bounce in the morning, but I told you all, do not turn too bullish or do not turn too bearish. We have to watch for confirmation to see which way the market breaks. The market failed to break any of the resistance levels I was talking about for us to turn bullish. It failed. And for that reason, once we started dropping, we ended up breaking below the supports I called out. And I told you if those broke, the market would get the rug pull. And that is what ended up playing out for today. So I'm going to show you guys the levels in just a few minutes. As a reminder, the market is becoming more greedy. The VIX is well above the 50-day moving average even right now, which is telling us there's a strong downtrend that is perpetuating in the markets. Fear, extreme fear is dictating the sentiment. The overall fear and greed index is also on extreme fear now. The market is continuing to sell off very hard as yields are rising, as oil is on the move higher. And this is once again what tends to happen during times like this. So with the yields rising, they're suggesting a recession is around the corner. That's one big factor. The other factor would be the economic data, which is not looking that good, not to mention other very important things. Now, one thing I want to remind everyone about is tomorrow morning, we have some very important data coming out. We have initial jobless claims and the GDP numbers. So the GDP growth rate is going to be very important for Q2. And we're going to find out some interesting developments about the estimates. This could cause some volatility in the morning, so just be prepared for that. The market's going to likely gap up or gap down depending on what the numbers look like tomorrow. So be prepared for this and get ready for the GDP numbers. And then that's pretty much it for Thursday. But for right now, the market is continuing to look weak. If we look at our heat map, we can see that many of these electronic technology companies are still kind of flat and also starting to sell off, like the Apples out there. Retail is selling off quite a bit. We're seeing more downside all over the place. Consumer services are down quite a bit, and so are the staples. So it's very interesting to be witnessing, seeing how the market is selling off and looking relatively weak. And we're starting to see this throughout the market. The market's weakening. So anyways, I want to talk about Tesla now. Looking at Tesla, something very big just happened, okay? Tesla was very, very tight in the morning. And for the last couple of days, it was just getting tighter and tighter and tighter. We started to see some consolidation in the morning. And Tesla attempted to get a breakout. Now, as Tesla tried to break out, it ended up failing with the market because we ended up seeing it get tight and breaking below our very critical levels. So looking at the chart, I just want to mention that we had these levels right here. I called out this very, very interesting looking potential bear flag that was forming on it, and this ended up playing out very nicely. But not just that, this is just a break below the pennant, which kind of resembled a bear flag, if anything, but it wasn't exactly like one. But it doesn't matter. It's basically the same structure. And the truth is, we had this very tight pennant that formed. We just got the break below it, and now Tesla's breaking below this 238 support. We're heading towards 235. That's going to be the next critical level. It's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Tesla's looking very weak right now. So we got this very, very nice breakout. The full measured move would take it even lower than that. So there could be quite a bit of downside coming for Tesla. That's why I want to call out some of these very important levels. So with Tesla looking weaker, I'm going to switch over to Webull just to show you guys something on the daily chart. Okay. On the daily, we have this very, very critical level to be watching for. Tesla technically has this zone right here where we see a lot of chop around this 230 to 235 zone. We're going to be watching 235 on Tesla if this thing continues to sell off over the next couple of trading sessions. I think 235 is going to be a key level. We also called out this possible head and shoulders forming. We actually failed to form any right shoulder, so it's just continuing to look weak. The 200 EMA on the daily is at 229. I think that's going to be tested. I see Tesla eventually going down to 230. And on top of that, I just want to mention we have this gap down here all the way down to 214. So could Tesla drop that low? If we break below the 200 EMA, there's a possibility of that. As of right now, it has not happened. So Tesla's still trying to hold above the 200. So watch that EMA very, very carefully. But right now, at the time I am speaking, 238 is a key support. Tesla's just barely holding on to it, but still looking very, very weak. If this thing ends up holding below it for an extended period of time, we could be getting very close to 235 very soon. And below that, if it breaks below 235, this thing is going to be heading towards 230 most likely. So it looks more bearish. It looks very, very weak right now. This morning it just sold off. The 30-minute looks weak. The 4-hour time frame is also looking kind of weak. We can see Tesla looks very weak right now. It's losing some strength relative to the markets. We're about to get a bearish PPO crossover on the 4-hour. It looks weak left and right. On SPY, this thing is trying to hold at 424, but still not looking that convincing because on the 30 minutes time frame, still looking very weak. SPY, in my opinion, has resistance at 425. If it gets above that, we're going to be watching this resistance right here at 425.5, and then we have 426 above that. Now, it's not very strong. These are very tight levels I'm calling out because it's very weak. I would say SPY is looking weak. And if we continue to sell off, watch 424 as support. If that breaks, we're going to be watching this thing test the low of the day, then potentially even come down to 422.5 as the next level. On the daily chart, SPY has an unfilled gap down to 418. We're likely going to be heading towards that level, not to mention even lower levels than that, which could be a possibility. The market is looking very weak right now. This is due to some very, very big developments in economic data, fear that is driving the markets, and many different factors. It all started with Jerome Powell talking about the Fed's change in monetary policy. So all these factors are coming together. The market is also historically quite bearish during this time of year, and there's likely going to be more downside coming. I believe SPY has more downside coming in the future too. So just watch the charts very carefully and just know that even if we do make attempts to balance, they're not looking too strong so far. So it is what it is. The market is continuing to weaken. We're going to be watching a critical level soon. That's 422.5. That's the 200 EMA on the daily chart on SPY. That's going to be a key level to watch for if we continue to break the low of the day by maybe like tomorrow or even by today. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But just to be clear, guys, downside is on the table and the bears are in control right now. Apple looks weak because we managed to break below 170 for the first time in, I believe it's been a very long time. It's been months since we saw Apple at these low levels. So it's the first time in months we saw Apple drop like this. I want to call out a very critical level on Apple. Let me just find it. I think it's on the daily. So on the daily chart, Apple has this gap down here at 166. Let me just zoom into it so you can see it. Right here, there's this gap. You guys can see it right here. So this gap right here around this 166 level is likely going to get filled, in my opinion, taking Apple down even lower. And that's going to drag down SPY, the QQQ, and all these different tickers. It's also going to be affecting Tesla and many other big tech stocks. Because you have to remember, this is happening as a result of the algorithms, which are turning much more bearish and starting to sell at a more aggressive rate. That's very important to note. On the QQQ, we have 353.5 around there acting as support, but still looking very weak. It's been selling off for the majority of the day. The daily looks weak too. 350 is on the table, and below that we have like 347. Those are some very, very key levels, key supports to watch for. In my opinion, there's likely more downside coming. It just looks very weak on the daily. The 4-hour time frame is looking very weak. It tried to bounce in the morning. It just failed. It straight up failed. So right here, we have 356 coming out. That's going to be a very, very key level. And, with this breaking, it just continues to look weak. I think it's going to eventually head downwards. Now, for tomorrow specifically, let me just call out something. We have the GDP numbers coming out in the morning, so I can't make any promises about how we open. But I still believe ultimately there's more downside looking at the trend. I want to be as clear as possible. On Nvidia, it's looking a little weaker because we have a clear on the 4-hour time frame and maybe even the 30-minute time frame, if hopefully this still shows. We have a clear head and shoulders forming on Nvidia. We have a left shoulder right here. We have a head right here and a right shoulder potentially forming. And it happens to be selling off. So if we break below this 417 support, I see Nvidia coming all the way down to 415 very soon, potentially even 411. Those are two very key levels. I think 411 is most likely going to be coming soon. So watch that very carefully on Nvidia. We also have this unfilled gap down here on the 30 minutes time frame, which would take it down to 408. I think Nvidia is going to likely sink a bit thanks to the overall market dictating how it's moving. All right. So, anyways, guys, I just wanted to say I thank you all so much for listening. Tesla's holding support at 238. Don't forget we have resistance at 240 and 242.5, and support right now is at 238, just very, very light support. Not to mention more support closer to about 235 is going to be the next very, very strong support. So watch that very carefully. The low of the day has some support as well. That's the zone as well for Tesla, but it's not looking the strongest. So like I said before, guys, Tesla's looking weak. Tesla's looking a lot more bearish. So watch these levels very carefully. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, everyone. I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Do what you have to do. And I'll see you guys. Thank you for listening and peace out.